make a quick video. A lot of people who are in my position are finding many things that work for them. And one thing that has really worked for me is actually going to get something called hyperbaric oxygen chamber therapy. What's interesting is that there are two different types of it. You can either do the soft shell ones, which is far less expensive, and I think it has less pressure in the cabin itself, or you can get the hard shell one, which is super expensive. It's like thousands of dollars to go to the hard shell one. Mine personally is like $100 per session, is pretty reasonable. And I'm gonna take you into the cabin so you can see what it is and what I'm doing, and so it's not so freaky. I had the most immediate feedback when I went into the cabin, capsule I should say, and my fingers were numb, my nerves felt like they were dying in my legs. I was dealing with paresthesias and neuropathy, as well as waking up and having my legs actually not work. It's pretty crazy. I'd have to try to will my limbs to move because I was like having bizarre paralysis stuff in my legs. So crazy. Lack of circulation, lack of feeling, and then shocking zaps in my legs. So anyways, when I went into the capsule, I dialed it up very slowly. What I like about the soft shell capsule is that, I don't know about the hard shell one, but the soft shell one, I'm in charge of how much pressure I'm allowing into the cabin. So in the beginning, I was such a sensitive kitty that I had to barely dial it up as my body was acclimating to it. And now that I've been doing it for a while, I do it about like once every other week. I'm fine with like dialing it up, but I'm still slow to dial it up. I don't do it all the way and just have it fill up. Personally, that's just my personal preference, because it's like being in an airplane. You're going to need to pop your ears a bunch and acclimate to the pressure changes in the capsule. What I did notice was that my legs started tingling as soon as I got out the first one. I could feel, so weird, the nerves that had been dying that I was no longer feeling in my legs all came alive, and I could feel them tingling, and I could feel things that had become numb. So that was my immediate feedback that I was on the right track and that it was good for me. Another interesting thing to note is that I have taken a very holistic approach, more Eastern medicine rather than Western medicine, because I know my body does not respond well to Western medicine. I'm very sensitive, so I was hesitant to put a bunch of other drugs into me, knowing that for me, the pendulum swings. So if I take something for one thing, it's going to create an issue on the other side of something else. So this is the biggest thing that I actually did that helped. So here I go. Okay, this is what it looks like. This is the hyperbaric chamber right here. You lay down inside there, and that is it. You'll see me getting in a second. Okay, this is very glamorous, but right now I'm inside. You can see there is a valve here. There's a whole thing for deflation. There's a zipper, so you get myself out. We're all good to go. And then I just push this button over here that turns it on for me. Oh, see it? I just turn it on. I turned on the fan. I also have a trusty little hose for oxygen that attaches to this hose over here so that I get the oxygen into my mask. And that is it. Right now I pressed the button so it's starting to inflate, and I think we're good. So now I'm going to start in, and as it starts inflating, I'll show you, and I'll be back in a sec. Now as you can see, this is starting to inflate. It doesn't look like much, but as you can see, the wrinkles are going away. It will start inflating, and then it'll be inflated in a second. Okay, so now I have oxygen flowing through my mask right there. I'll be putting my mask on, and basically as this inflates, I will be dialing this little dude to adjust the pressure to make sure that I'm comfortable and everything is okay. Okay, so now this is starting to inflate a lot, and my ears are definitely going. So since it becomes a bit much for me, oh Lord have mercy, I deflated a bit, so listen. There we go. Woo! Relieving some of the pressure so it doesn't happen as quickly as it would if it was fully closed. For me, it takes a bit of time for my ears and everything to get more acclimated, so I find it's much better to take my time. Otherwise, it's just gonna, woo. And that is about it. Here's to healing. Okay, so I'm done now. I just turned that off. And now just breathing some oxygen, letting it decompress. And once it's done decompressing, then we'll unzip the bag and I'm out. And you can see the more that I turn the dial, the more different. Ooh, too tough. Ugh, gotta go slow. Okay, now I'm back in the car after finishing hyperbaric oxygen chamber therapy. Something that I also forgot to mention that I noticed was I had bruises and blood spots all over my body when my body literally wasn't healing. I had bruises that stayed on there for like over a month. And as soon as I got into the chamber, they started healing, as well as the places I was getting all my blood drawn. The nerves were really hurting me in my arm. It was like shooting pain. It's ridiculous. But I noticed that once I started doing the hyperbaric oxygen chamber, it started healing and then the pain wasn't there anymore. Call it anecdotal, call it whatever you want to, but I'm really grateful that I found this, and it really has expedited my healing, and I keep it as a modality to keep myself healthy. Also, when I just got COVID recently, I chose to come here and to do the chamber on top of all the other things that I was doing to help myself through COVID, and I had a really easy row of it, knock on wood. But the chamber helps keep the inflammatory response down as well. It's getting oxygen to my beautiful blood vessels and everything that needs oxygen.